Oh yeah, oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Hey guys, how is everybody doing? Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, released in theaters this past weekend. I did not get a chance to watch it over the weekend because Memorial Day weekend, I went camping with some family, so this video is also a little late, but as you are watching this video, I am probably at the drive-in watching it. Yes, I still have a drive-in where I live with it. So, as you're probably watching this, I am probably at my local drive-in to be watching the movie, hopefully. And yeah, again, sorry video is a little late, and setting up my thoughts for this movie. It has not been a secret that I don't really care for the other previous Mad Max movies starring Mel Gibson. It's no secret that I don't really care for excuse me, I don't really care for those movies. They don't completely work for me. Those are for entire different generation. Yeah, sure, it basically got Fury Road made, and those movies are responsible for this movie being made, but again, I just never cared for them. They're fine. They're fine movies for sure, but they're just not for me. And the only thing that really keeps me watching them is like the final moments of each movie where the like when the action really kicks in. That's like the point of the movies where I really get invested in the movie. So, going into this movie, I had a lot of expectations for because I've heard nothing but amazing things about this movie. Back in 2015, when this movie came out, it was nominated for Best Picture that year. So it must be a good movie, right? So I heard nothing but rave reviews, how great the movie is, how great the action is, and how it's like one of the best action movies in this past decade. So I went in with that expectation, I guess you could say, but also a little bit optimistic because I didn't care for the other three movies. But oh my god. But before we get into all that, starting off with all of my positives for Mad Max Fury Road is the cinematography. I don't really talk about cinematography much, but oh my god, it is beautiful in this movie. The one moment that comes to my mind is when they drive through the storm during that big ass long action sequence. When they drive through the storm and like there's tornadoes and all and like storms, sandstorms, anything bad you could think of that involves storms was in there, and it was pretty. Like it was gorgeous to look at. It had cool colors. It was like blue, it was red. I believe there was also like yellow or orange in there. And like the shot there where you could just see like the cars driving in it, and but you also get like a shot of all of like the storms going through there. It's like wow, especially just the opening shot of this movie where I keep burping, excuse me. The opening shot of this movie where we see Tom Hardy's Max, where he's just standing there looking at the desert and he's giving his little monologue in his head, and we slowly zoom in on it, and he's just standing there, kind of looking badass, doing his badass stand like that. Like and the music in this movie, oh my god! I'm a huge metal fan. Metal. Metal fan. Like I love music artists like Metallica, AC/DC, Rob Zombie, Gillet, Shinedown, any heavy metal band you can name. I probably like it because I love heavy metal. And this movie has so much, like especially like the big long action sequence when the guy's like on the guitar just playing that shit. I was like, oh my god, it sounds beautiful. For some reason, it just reminded me so much of Doom. I've been playing the Doom game recently, and I'm still playing Doom 2016. I haven't gotten back to it yet. But the music in that game, it's pretty fucking good. And the sound of this music in here, like some of the heavy metal stuff, it reminded me a lot of Doom for some reason. I don't know why, but those two just sounded similar. But yet again, rock does sound a lot like. I don't know, but yeah, for someone who loves heavy metal, some of my issues with the previous trilogy of the Mad Max movies was that I never thought they did a good job of showing off the landscape or the world of it. But this movie, oh my goodness, they do a better job with it. Because the fact that we're always just in the desert and always in the wasteland, and how they're always just there, they're like literally nowhere else. They're not sanctioned in a like a forbidden area. They're not at like bases or anything. They're always out in the wasteland and they're always out in the desert. And it just looks beautiful. And I'm glad about that because I love seeing like this. basically forbidden world to where like it's like an apocalypse now to where you truly feel this is apocalypse with all like the cars now with people with certain like body parts like how Furiosa has like that robot arm because she like lost her arm, which I'm assuming we'll find out in Furiosa. Don't spoil it for me yet, assholes. But like when you see like all of this stuff with the landscape, with the cars, with these different like these different like metal arms and legs on people, it's like you can truly feel that this is like a apocalyptic world where a lot of people are dead. This world basically went to shit because of us. Like you feel that now because how much we spend time in the landscape, how much the cars look, like, I love that. That's something that I had an issue with the other Mad Max movies, but this movie just comes along just like, bigger budget, better movie, basically. I don't want to be that guy, though. But yeah, they did a better job of showing off the landscape and really building out this world, I felt. Like, they did a better job of showing off the world, too. Like, I just love that. It was amazing. Cast in this movie, man. Wow, there's a lot of recognizable faces like Charlize Theron, who just continues to be one of my favorite actresses because that woman, she always does great in her movies. Like you got Fury Road, Monster, Fast and Furious movies. Like this lady does like anything. And what I love about Charlize Theron is that she never just feels like this hot role model. Never tries to look like a beauty queen, as I like to call a lot of actresses, because a lot of actresses know that they're hot. They know that they're beautiful, and everybody wants, like almost every guy wants them. I'm not complaining. But Charlize Theron, she's always willing to dedicate herself to a movie like Monster. Like you can never tell that Charlize Theron. She like gained weight and like she made herself look like that person. And like in this movie, she was willing to shave off her own hair for this role. Not a lot of actresses will do that. Charlize Theron continues to impress me as an actress, and I will continue to love her to this day. She's a beautiful actress. She's great in every movie that she's in. I admire her dedication, so thank you, Charlize Theron. And Tom Hardy, what about this guy I haven't talked about? Because I talked about him last year when my Dark Knight Rises review as Bane. I fucking adore him as Bane. He is amazing in that movie. And Tom Hardy, I just love him. The amount of dedication he does too, with his physicality and all of his movies, he does great. I love his voice in this movie too. How he's like deep. He's just like, that's my jacket. Like his voice. I don't know what about it. It just, I loved it. I don't know if that's just his normal voice. I've never heard him just talk normally. That guy's British. But I don't know. But Tom Hardy, like Amateur Restaurant, I appreciate your dedication. Can't wait for Venom. Almost. And you also got like Nicholas Hoult in this movie, who I continue to love to this day. Like this guy, every new movie this guy's a part of, I seem to love him. Like just recently, last year with Renfield, I loved him in that movie. This guy's gonna be a great star one day. I guarantee you, he's gonna be in one Oscar-winning role that everybody's gonna love him and notice him for the rest of his life. That's why I'm so glad he's like Luthor and Superman. Cannot wait for that. Man, we have to talk about the star of the show. The action in this movie. I have been talking about the other Mad Max movies, saying like how at the end of Road Warrior that action sequence was awesome, but now watching this one, that movie makes that action sequence look bland now. I'm not gonna lie, that makes that sequence look bland now, cause oh my god, especially that long action sequence that everybody knows at this point. Like, if you're an action fan, you'll know the sequence I'm talking about. If you're a fan of this movie, you know the sequence I'm talking about. Because what I love about that sequence is that it starts off small. It doesn't seem overly big. It only feels like some people are involved, some people are fighting. But then it just gets bigger when Immortan Joe and his crew just come in and just kind of mess everything up. Like, that whole sequence, I couldn't I could not like blink without something awesome happening. Like my favorite part of the movie was like when the guy like sprayed that like shiny stuff in his mouth and he just took two of those bomb sticks and just stabbed that car and it just blew up. Like it was like that was awesome. Like oh my god, I the entire movie is basically just action. And when you like stop to take a breather, you're like, okay, we're all right now. We get to sit back, take a breather. It's like, holy shit! And just more awesome just happens. That is how much action is in this movie, and that is how much I loved it, because beat after beat after beat, it was just nothing but amazing action, and I loved it. But, maybe I should have known that because I was told there was a lot of action in this movie by my father, because I remember he goes, yeah, it's good, but it has a lot of action, and I was like, and you're complaining? Now that when you watch it, it's like, oh my god. You'll excuse me, I might need to go change my underwear. I'll be right back. And for my final positive is that I do like the characters in this movie. I do like Tom Hardy's version of Max. He doesn't do as much as Mel Gibson. As Max, I do think Mel Gibson is a better Max because he's a fully developed character, and we've seen him throughout 3 movies. But Tom Hardy's Max, we don't really see much of him. We don't really know his backstory much. But excuse me, but he does have like the same backstory as Mel Gibson's. Jesus Christ, he does have the same backstory as Mel Gibson's Max, with his wife and daughter dying, unfortunately, and like other people he tried to save ended up dying when he tried to save them. Like he has like the same backstory as Mel Gibson's Max, but I felt he just did a good job for what he was given too, and I do like this version of Max for what we get to see and what we get to hear from him, because he doesn't really talk much in this movie, but what we get to see of him, he's pretty cool. And Charlize Theron as Furiosa, she was good enough to get her own prequel movie, so she's a great character. I love her character and how much we see from her, and that's why I'm excited for the Furiosa movies, because I want to see more from this character, because we haven't gotten that goddamn sequel yet. And we get to see more of her character in this movie, in the new movie, because we get to learn more about her. I'm really excited about. And yeah, and what we get to see from her in this movie, and what we get to learn a little bit about in this movie, I thought was great, and I love the character Furiosa is great. And the villain of Immortal Joe, by far the best villain of this entire franchise so far, because he's a great villain. I love him, and I like how um the actor that portrays him, I forget his name, he was also Toe Cutter in the original Mad Max, which I thought was a decent villain, but in this movie, again, makes that villain look tame knowing that's the same actor, which I thought it was pretty cool that George Miller brought him back to play the villain again, play a better villain, if anything. I really like, he's a great villain, pretty menacing villain, where ends up killing his own pregnant wife on accident, and he still just doesn't care, and all he cares about his child is all. Like, this is a great villain. Immortal Joe's a villain. So excited to see the new one, too. So, yeah, character-wise, I thought they're better in this movie than they were in the past trilogy. So, yeah, character-wise, awesome. But, although I do love this movie, I do have something I need to say. So, moving on to my mixed aspects, there is a lot of noticeable green screen in this movie, which I can excuse it because it's not very noticeable, but when you kind of like really pay attention to the movie and you really look at the movie, you can tell there's a lot of green screen, especially when beginning of the movie when Immortal Joe's like looking down at all the people when they're begging for water. You can clearly tell it's a green screen, but this movie is 9 years old, so it's gonna have some aging factors, and for the time you kind of need to if you're gonna pull off what you're able to then. But yeah, it's not very noticeable when you watch it, but when you really pay attention, you can notice it. So I definitely noticed it. My only complaint is that there's no sequel, even though they've been teasing one ever since 2016. Come on, you made your Furiosa movie. Didn't perform the best at the opening box office weekend. You're writing your Max prequel movie. So make Mad Max Wasteland. Come on, do something. All in all, guys, Mad Max Fury Road, I loved it. I truly did. It lived up to all my expectations. It lived up to everything I was hoping it to be. It just lived up to everything that I truly wanted it to be. If you're not a big fan of the other Mad Max movies like I am, or maybe you're a big fan of those other 3 movies, I guarantee you you'll love this movie. And if you're like me who doesn't care for those new movies, this is definitely for those old movies. This is definitely for the new generation of Mad Max fans. It's definitely for me, and it's become a cult classic of an action movie. And almost every action movie fan that I know loves this movie. So if you have not seen this movie, please do yourself a favor and check out Mad Max Fury Road. What do you guys think about Mad Max Fury Road? Have you seen it? What do you think about it? Do you prefer the other Mad Max movies with Mel Gibson, or are you like me, you prefer this movie? Let me know in the comments below, and we shall talk about it. If you like this video, like it. If you love to subscribe, hit the bell notification so you will get notified for all of my latest videos. And of course, until my next video, see you all next time.